German prisoners of war, 1945. A revolver with a camera that takes a picture just before the shot for a report to the client, 1938. In 1986, pilot Alexander Kluyev bet he could land a passenger plane blind, using only instruments. He lost the bet. The plane crashed and burst into flames, killing 70 people. The pilot survived and was sentenced to just 6 years in prison. An Iraqi man celebrates on top of a burning American Army Hummer in northern Baghdad, Iraq, 2004. Soviet militia disperses a rally near the U.S. Embassy in the USSR, with the crowd chanting, "Freedom for Lebanon," 1958. British soldiers blinded after a gas attack, waiting in line for the doctor. Protests at the Miss America pageant, 1969. The sign, "All women are beautiful," challenges societal beauty standards. Filming Titanic, 1997. Engineer plugging in one of the first computers, 1958. A World War II veteran earns a living, Tokyo, Japan, 1951. Dora Rathen, an athlete from the Olympic team of Germany, was arrested at a railway station on suspicion of being a man disguised in women's clothing, 1938. In 1925, a Belgian merchant, unable to sell his dresses, draped his entire house with them overnight. The police arrived, the town watched, and the dresses quickly sold out. The Great Stingray, caught by Captain Can, USA, 1933. An aerial photograph of a field where German soldiers held Soviet POWs near Kharkov, 1942. A white dove lands on Fidel Castro's shoulder during his first televised address to the citizens of Cuba and stays there for the entire 2-hour speech. Havana, 1959. An unusual place for strollers in the front of a bus. New Zealand, 1950. March on Washington, 1963. During this event, Martin Luther King delivered his famous "I Have a Dream" speech. As a result of the march, the U.S. government abolished segregation and granted African Americans equal voting rights as whites. Crime reporter Vlado Teneski reported on serial murders in Macedonia, crimes he had actually committed. Police caught him because he published details only the killer would know. After DNA confirmed his guilt, he was found dead in his cell, his head in a bucket of water. The caning of a negligent student, a common occurrence for those times. Wisconsin, USA, 1905. The 1960s were a time of struggle for racial equality in the USA. African Americans like Reverend Joe Carter faced violence and threats from the Ku Klux Klan. In the photo, he calmly waits for them at his home. A soldier from the 173rd Airborne Brigade, South Vietnam. Black prisoners carrying out disciplinary punishment, USA, 1937. When seatbelts in racing were not yet mandatory, 1950s. The miraculous survivors from the 87th floor of the World Trade Center, New York, September 11th, 2001. National Headstand Week, USA, 1940. In 1989, about 2 million people from Latvia, Estonia, and Lithuania formed a human chain linking the three countries to show their desire to leave the Soviet Union. If God exists, he will have to beg me for forgiveness. inscription carved by a Jewish prisoner on the wall of a concentration camp cell. One of the 4 preserved human nervous systems. The extraction took over 1,000 hours. High society girls dressed in the latest fashion. Paris, 1910s. A communication device between a driver and passenger, 1970s. A Dutch riddle from WA2. To answer the question of where the 5th pig was hiding, one had to correctly fold the picture along the indicated lines. A giant letter M to welcome Mussolini to a small town in Italy, 1938. Beware of vicious dog, sign, 1940s. Older generations often speak out about the morals and conduct of young people. Yet, those same older generations had their own periods of rebellion and defiance of traditional norms. In the photo, Gorbals Pub, Scotland, 1968. Prostitutes behind bars in a brothel, Japan, 1890. Most of these women, likely from Korea or China, were sold by their families or husbands to repay debts. Adolf Hitler visits the trenches where he served during World War I as part of the Bavarian 16th Reserve Regiment near Fonay. The Hitler Regiment held this line for 18 months. In 1910, safe razor inventor King Camp Gillette offered former U.S. President Theodore Roosevelt a large sum of money to head his corporation in Arizona. Roosevelt declined, saying he didn't trust someone who made razors and wore a mustache. People brought their dogs to be euthanized as they were unable to pay the increased pet tax. Berlin, 1926. The American 90th Bombardment Group, Jolly Rogers, 1942. The oldest virgin, Clara Meadmore, was 108 years old. Born in Glasgow in 1903, Clara died in 2012 and believed that her chastity was a major reason for her phenomenal longevity. Survivors of the Bergen-Belsen concentration camp, 1945. The first state of Levi's Company, founded by Levi Strauss, 1853. Mike Tyson, in glamorous pink handcuffs, goes to prison for drug possession and drunk driving, 2008. Monk Capistran Ferrito plays baseball with Harlem Boys, USA, 1965. The last puff of a young man about to be buried alive by Japanese soldiers in Nanjing, China, 1938. An apraxia vendor in a suit made from apraxia, 1890. Torgau, 1945. Soviet and American troops meet and hug near the ruined bridge across the Elbe. Their smiles are genuine, yet they mask 4 years of shared conflict. Stalingrad and Normandy, the siege of Leningrad, and Pearl Harbor. A farmer caught a wild pig that was eating his dogs, Australia, 1980. Lava flows engulfing a village west of Vesuvius, 1944. A march of the American Nazi Party in support of Hitler, New York, 1937. A young woman looks for the ring she accidentally dropped, USA, 1959. 2 girls on the streets of West Germany talk to their grandparents through a window in a house in the East Zone, separated by a barbed wire barricade, August 14th, 1961. A rare photo from the Bakumatsu period captures the last keepers of ancient martial arts, the last samurai, Japan, 1860s. Vietnamese rice fields and gardens after a carpet bombing by the USA on B-52 planes, 1966. I'm proud of my gay son, New York, 1974. A snake man entertains other soldiers at the front, France, 1915. One of the first tornadoes ever photographed, 1898. People avoided casual conversations and were unsocial long before smartphones. USA, 1950s. FBI fingerprint storage. A doctor examines a Buchenwald prisoner, 1945. Residents of Hanoi after an air raid warning, Vietnam, 1967. In 1998, a bridge was built over the Choluteca River in Honduras, but Hurricane Mitch shifted the river's course. A charred but well-preserved loaf of bread, even the baker's stamp is visible, from Pompeii, AD 79. 17th century England saw the fashion for plunging necklines and aristocratic pallor. The visible vascular pattern on the skin was considered beautiful, leading women to frequently use a blue pencil to draw veins onto their skin. The sinking of the Lusitania, 1915. It was once often said how honorable and beautiful it was to die for the homeland. But in modern wars, there is nothing honorable or beautiful. You will die like a dog, and for no reason. Ernest Hemingway. Collar of an ancient Roman slave with the inscription, "Catch me, I escaped. If you catch me and return me to my master's Oninus, you will receive a solidus." 4th century CE. A solidus was a Roman gold coin. Republicans fight Democrats in a snowball fight at the Capitol, USA, 1921. British inflatable equipment used to distract the Germans from the real troop landing in Normandy during World War II. English women demand the right to serve in the military, citing that Italian women are allowed, 1915. Former prisoners of the German concentration camp demonstrate the torture methods they endured, Germany, 1945. People used to be infected with malaria to treat syphilis. The high temperature caused by malaria would destroy the syphilis bacteria, and then patients were cured of malaria. A father looks for his 2 missing sons during the Kosovo War in 1999. He would later find them. Superheroes wash windows in a children's hospital, USA, 2000s. The burning of a village whose inhabitants were suspected of collaborating with guerrillas, Vietnam, 1968. In the psychiatric clinic where I was treated, one man thought he was Napoleon and another San Martin. No one believed me that I was Maradona. Diego Maradona, 1994. A Japanese soldier adjusts a Chinese man's head before decapitating him. Execution of a prisoner of war, 1938. English model Jean Shrimpton was one of the first to dare appear in public in a dress above the knee. In the summer of 1965, she arrived at the Melbourne races in such an outfit, causing a true sensation. Lifeboat with Titanic survivors, 1912. Wenceslao Miguel, a prisoner during the Mexican Revolution. Sentenced to death by firing squad, Miguel was shot 9 times, all hitting their mark, but he survived, escaped, and lived for many more years. Car in which Al Capone's lawyer, who testified against him, was killed, 1939. Sailors of the battleship George V received their daily rum ration, 1910s. A chastity nightgown for procreation, France, 17th century. The inscription translates as, "with God's help." There were 157,000 cases of the USSR executing its own soldiers during World War II. In the US, Britain, and France, the count was only in the hundreds. Titanic survivors Marjorie and Charlotte Collier in New York, 1912. March into the underworld. The German unit Freiwilligen Legion Nederlande advances to the line of attack in the snows near Leningrad. 10 hours later, none of those captured in the photo were alive. Children in New Year's costumes. On the right, a boy in the costume of a black person with a ribbon saying, "Independence for Africa." In the 1930s, a woman's pregnancy was determined by inserting her urine into frogs. If, after 15 hours, the frogs started laying eggs, it meant the woman was pregnant. The death stairs at the Mauthausen concentration camp were the place where prisoners carried granite stones weighing about 50 kilograms, 110 pounds, up 186 steps. Guards forced them to make up to 10 climbs a day, regardless of the heat or cold. Due to the exhausting conditions, many fell, dropping the stones on others, leading to injuries and deaths, 1943. A woman cries at the gates of the Auschwitz concentration camp, 1981. In the late 20th century in the DPRK, North Korea, there was a famine that claimed, according to official data, from 10,000 to 3 million lives. In 1965, 90-year-old Frenchwoman Jeanne Calment sold her apartment to a 47-year-old lawyer who agreed to make monthly payments to her until her death, with the total amount based on a 10-year lifespan. In the end, Calment received money from him for 30 years and outlived the lawyer, with his widow continuing the payments for 2 more years. The Tour de France bike race, 1930. French racer Jules Mervel refuels with a glass of red wine. A rare photo of North Korean leader Kim Il-sung showing a tumor on his neck. Photographers were prohibited from photographing the right side of his face. Late 1980s. Madrid, Spain, 1960s. The submarine Kursk being lifted from the bottom of the Barents Sea. A soldier uses a slave as a seat. USA, 1962. Romania, 1946. Gypsies practiced healing backs by sitting a bear on them. No dog biscuits today. London, 1942. Prostitute Elizabeth Brown received 7 years in prison for strangling a sailor during BDSM play. Scotland, early 20th century. Whether this clip sparked joy, anger, or just a bit of annoyance, I want to hear your thoughts below. Stick around for part 2 coming soon. Please hit like and subscribe to support the channel. See you.